see. Yeah, so what you see I'm doing here is I had to redraw this portion of the body because, wow, the pencil is dead. No. I had to redraw this portion of the body because my problem was I couldn't see what this was supposed to look like. And that drawing that I have sitting right there, that made no sense. So what you'll see I'll do sometimes too is I'll create another layer on the bottom of something that I'm drawing just so I can get a better idea of what it's supposed to look like. And then I will clean it up and then I will re-ink based on that. What I really want is an eraser. Yay. There you go. I think I can keep the fist. I just can't keep anything else. And the same thing about digital drawing, what makes it really, really nice is you don't really have to redraw everything from scratch. You can reuse what you already have and you can save some time. This is going to be reduced in opacity. It's going to be shifted below. And then I can draw the rest of the arm. And the color is wrong anyway. Gotta go back to black. I gotta move a layer above. So the idea is, because usually when I do my sketching or when I do my layouts for stuff, they're really rough. They don't have a lot of detail on them. So I wind up having to draw some of this stuff in later and cleaning it up. Be honest with you, these are probably some of the tighter layouts that I've done. Like the background here, you can see it's just basic stuff. I actually did the background already on its own layer, and I reused some stuff that I've drawn earlier before today. Or 2 days ago, so I can actually have it consistent. That's another thing about like digital art, which makes life a little bit easier. You only have to draw things like one time, and then what you can do is you can reuse a lot of your pieces over and over again from different images that you've done before. Okie dokie. So this is the McWillis. So this side view. So one of the things I can do too, I can cheat. I don't want to redraw this guy's face again. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to take all of this here. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to paste it down again, yeah? And what we're going to do is, and then we freeform it. The reason we go into freeform then allows me to manipulate a few more pieces of it. I can make things a little wider. I can make things a little shorter. And now I have my head reset. And then what we can do is we check it to all the other characters that are on the page. And then I can actually work out something. And this is not the way the final head's gonna look because I have to change the way the mouth is, and I want to do a few things with it, and I want to tighten the inks that are there. But this saves me some time, so I don't have to go redraw him all over again, and it's basically the same face being used more than once. Captain Jamaica, the reason I have the tendency of drawing him over and over again is because I'm really comfortable with drawing his face, or Jimmy West, because I'm used to drawing his face, so I can draw him a lot faster. McWillis is like kind of new for me, and I'm gonna have to try to look for consistencies in his face that keep showing up in every drawing that I do of him moving forward. And it's interesting, there was no description of what he looked like, so I asked the creator if I can make him a black guy, because I at first thought he was a character that I saw originally in some of the Captain Jamaica stuff he had showed me, books that he had done before. So I thought maybe he was one of those guys in there, but he goes, nah, he's not. He's like kind of a new character. So I was able to generate a completely new character look. And you'll see a lot of the times too, if you watch me block out body parts and stuff like that, you'll notice that the shape that I choose or I prefer, it's always triangular. And there's a reason, for some bizarre reason, when you go triangular with the shapes that you produce, the drawings look a bit more realistic. I don't know what it is. Also, I guess since it's less sides than a rectangle, cylinders and ovals and all that stuff, you're able to create something that just seems to look better. And I've tried it. I've drawn things in ovals and I've drawn things with triangles, and the triangular versions always look better. They look tighter, they look a bit more real, because it's just there. It's just there in almost everything that you're doing, which is the part that's crazy. So, like, if I want to add like any detail to the body, I think of it almost like a triangle, always. And then I add it, and then once I draw it, it's everything's really a three-sided shape. I'm just gonna keep showing them to you. Everything is really just a three-sided shape. If you think about it, I can split everything into triangles. And once you start doing this to a lot of your drawings, it starts to look, everything starts to look just that much more real. And then what you can do is, instead of having all these full lines here, you can actually then start erasing some of them. And because you like a person's skin, you don't see all of that stuff under it. But these lines look more natural than if you were trying to draw them off the top of your head, or doing a lot of different stuff like that. Yeah. So that arm is done, and then same thing. And even when you're drawing stuff that are predefined, so here's where triangles form. Not every triangle is just 1, 2, 3. The way I draw in triangular shapes is sometimes you'll see it looks like this. It's just a three-sided shape at all times. That's what I mean by a triangular shape. And what's kind of neat about that is it forms like the natural creasing that you have inside the body, so on and so forth. The body moves towards that. If you ever sit down and look at a bunch of things that are folded or crumpled up, there are triangles all over that shape. Like right now, when I analyze another person's art or I see things about it that I like, I look for the triangles in that piece. And what's weird about it is a lot of the artists' work that I do like, the triangles appear throughout them a lot. Like the way I draw ears now is something I saw in one piece from the guy, the game I'm beta testing. This artist created the art for Catalyst Black. And I noticed when he drew his ear, the ear actually looked like this. And if you're wondering, triangle, 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 triangle. That's what I see the ear as. The interesting thing he did with his ear next is he added in a triangle here, a line that goes over. You wondering what the triangles are? I'm seeing them all here. These are all triangles, just if you're wondering where they are. Then after he did that, he did a little triangle right here, and then a bigger triangle up here, right? And then he connected with, I say, another triangle, if you're wondering. So this is what this V is to me. It's a triangle. And then based on what I know about ears and all that fun stuff that I've been practicing them for a very long time, I then will add in one or two more triangles also to add in the shadow, and that's it. So like that's how I can draw an ear now. And I've been using that technique kind of now with my ears. And then you can round off the stuff a little bit. But yeah, you can draw ears pretty fast. So it's really cool. This method works for arms, for fingers, for hands, for everything you're trying to draw. It makes everything look that much more. You can see it. Like I'm purposely blocking a lot of the shapes up here into triangles, just so you can see kind of what I do now with my art and how I see a lot of the shapes and how I'm able to produce the looks that I produce with it. So this is like the thumb. Let me just make sure. This is what's going to work. Thank you. So even if it's looking at a different angle, you got to look at what it's going to look like correctly. So the thumb is going to stick out like so. Rounded edge triangle. Looks like a teardrop, yeah, but still a triangle. Then we're going to do the fingers. Whenever you do your finger closed up to your hand, it's an X, slightly longer in the middle, and there you go. This covers your pinky. This also covers your other finger too, really well. So what I did with this page, when I actually reset up the images or laid out this page, I kind of expanded the story a little bit and kind of explain what is the status quo in this story, like what's going on. How are the characters that I've shown you so far, how are they all related to this scene that you're looking here? So that was the whole idea of what I wanted to do. Because originally when I read the script, it was so, it didn't give me more information than I had. And then like there's certain things like when I'm talking to James, he explained to me like how is the whole Captain Jamaica situation, how it works, who's involved in it. And the way the script was written currently, none of that information was provided to the reader. So I was thinking, man, if we're gonna do these pages and you're gonna bring this stuff in, shouldn't the readers get a little bit more information about the world that they're in? How are all the characters interconnected? And events that you've seen so far in the book, what led to them? What kind of caused them? So those are kind of what some of the stuff that I wanted to do. Even with characters like Miss Durenay, just reading the way she moves and the way she reacts in the script, I'm just like, yo, this woman doesn't seem like your normal little old lady. And I would like to do the prologue, no matter what the story is. I want to do a prologue for issue 2 of Captain Jamaica, and I want to show you some special stuff about Miss Durenay, and why everything that you're seeing, it kind of makes a little bit more sense. Like I already dropped some with just simple little dialogue that I added. I've connected Miss Durenay and Jimmy West together through his mom. Like there's dialogue that connects them there. There's a bunch of really cool little stuff that I just added. I passed it I definitely mentioned it and talked it over with the creator first. Isn't that just stuff I just did, just like screw it, this will make a better story and this is how we're gonna go. And what I do with a lot of this stuff too, I stopped being a jerk about stuff like that, because I remember when I was all, well, you should do this, and I'm just like, that's not how you, if even if the person wanted to change it, to tell them to rewrite their story and tell their story a totally different way is not the best way to go about it. The best you can do is you can say, look, based on what I read, I'm just giving a suggestion. We don't have to do it this way. We could definitely leave it the way it is, but I'm just saying, based on what I read, could we do something like this? That's it. If somebody tells me characters are gonna fight or stuff like that, I'll read the fights. I'm just like, yo, that's not easy to draw. I'm like, we're gonna change that a little bit so I can actually draw something that kinda represents what you're saying. But there's no way I'm drawing 250 different individual people sitting on a page. Like, that's just crazy talk. So like, that's a lot of stuff that I've been doing. And also, I just try to explain to them what the point is in the narrative that I'm bringing forward, just so it's not like to change their stuff. And I try to incorporate, and I've been learning about that too. I try to incorporate everything I see in the scene and then extrapolate and provide more information so it's clearer to the person reading it. Because the whole plot and story was written by Taz and James Bethel. It's just some of the dialogue I wanted to punch up. I wanted to make the characters, I wanted to give the characters a little bit of different sound. And I wanted them to look a little bit more three-dimensional. Like, they seemed very basic. And what I mean by that is I wasn't getting a lot of information or idea about the character based on what I was reading. I was seeing a lot of anger. I was seeing a lot of resentment. But we're entering a situation where one character supposedly has amnesia and the other one doesn't. And the way they're behaving towards each other, it's like the amnesia never happened. So that's kind of one of the reasons, like, I was like, nah, I want to rework the relationship between these characters, and I can create the level of tension that happened in the first 3 pages that were shown. I can ratchet it up slowly and get them there by the end of the book without them having to be there when they first meet initially. And that I actually pulled that off. Because by these last few pages, the way they were behaving when I read the script the original time, when they just first met each other, I got them there. I got the characters into that. I got Jimmy West into that state of mind by the end of the book. He's there now. If it's gonna take control and discipline on his part, but yeah, I can tell you, he's as angry as those scenes that I read originally were. Currently, by the end of the book, he's there. And the only reason I wanted to do it that way is you want a reason for him to get there. And you can't pick and choose how amnesia works in this case. And I didn't want to, and the whole idea I wanted to make with this character is it's basically making him a familiar stranger. His behaviors and his attitudes. The program I'm using is Procreate. I'll go back again. It's the only thing I draw in on the iPad. Like, there's so many. So this is the program that I use. I bought it since I had iPad 2, and they've basically been improving it piece by piece. Did this thing freeze? Come on. So they've been improving it. Piece by piece. So it's my favorite program. It's the only thing I draw in. If you just look, everything in here is all in Procreate. I don't use anything else. And I have 30, 40, 50. I have drawings. I've moved so many things, but everything you see I do in here is it's all done in Procreate. It's just, it's literally as powerful as Photoshop, but on an iPad. And every time these guys do something, it just gets better. But I do a lot of my inking on this. I do my coloring on here too. Like this is my book, Blue Jay and the Rush #2. Like I'm thinking of maybe doing a Kickstarter. Yeah, I know about Clip Studio. I just don't like it. I don't like it on PC. I don't like it. I don't like the program. Like my brother swears by it. Like my brother, that's his favorite program. Like he's like, Clip Studio is the greatest. I'm like, but like we don't fight about it, but he uses it predominantly. He's a big Clip Studio person. Procreate is like the #1 like art app on Apple. Professionals use it all the dang time. You can do animation in it. You can do a lot of stuff. I wonder if I still have it in here. It might not be in here anymore. Like I just did an art challenge. 31 days. All of it Procreate. All ink. So it's really neat. I think I took it out. Like these are, I'll show you some old stuff that I've done in Procreate too. This is the cover of the game that I'm working on with my kids, Super Ice Kingdom. This is me trying to build the characters out so I can do them into a video game. I actually have stuff of that. Maybe one day I'll try to play a little bit of the game I started doing, but this is me doing redesigns of the characters. Like if I was to draw a comic book with them, so this is the Ice Prince. So this is a more super deformed version for the video game. And these are my little monkey guys called the Bobos. And that's based off Diego. But yeah, that's neat stuff. But yeah, it's my, like I said, it's my favorite program. I can do a lot. I can do a lot with this. A lot of my stuff that I do on YouTube, if I need to prepare art for doing motion comics and stuff like that, this is the app I'm also going to use too. And the trick, like I said, is I do a lot of my drawings rough and completely not fully rendered or drawn. And then what I do is I spend my time when I'm doing the inking process, I'll redraw the stuff that I need to draw to get it to look the way it's supposed to. Oops. Her eyebrows are actually white, so I have to make that open. It's kind of funny. A lot of the stuff that I do now, for the longest time, I could not draw clothes, people in clothes. Man, share it. You know why? Because people will look at it and you'd be surprised how many people will be like, oh my God, that is just so amazing. There's nothing, you should never be like worried about like letting people know. You'll be surprised how many people are impressed. There's a lot of people too. I've also learned a lot more as I got older, to appreciate a style or the way a person draws, because there's always something good in anything that you see. Some people will be like, oh, it doesn't look like whatever, and that's not really what art is. Can the person tell a story? I get you. When a person tells a story, if they're really good at storytelling. I mean, I've seen some of the funniest comics or stuff that I've seen as just the stick figures. So you could definitely never be worried about that. It's the same thing. Like I personally was not a person who was big into, I could tell you if you were to say, let's go to a comic book convention, sit at a table and talk to people, I'd be like, nah, man, I can't do that. The funny thing is, if you think about it, that's what Twitch is. You're literally sitting like at a convention of one, and you're sitting there and you just got to talk. So I've been practicing so much in streaming. Yeah, talking to people is easy. I can talk to people in real life. It's just I never liked the idea of sitting at a convention table and doing that. It's the weird thing I've also noticed is, like in comic book conventions, a lot of people are only looking for stuff they've seen before. Where, like nowadays, if I was to go to one, I would be just looking for indie artists because there's a lot of indie artists that I know, and I probably find them in said conventions. And these are people I've only talked to on Facebook. But yeah, I would definitely want to see their stuff because it's really weird that a lot of people don't realize, even if you don't buy something at a convention, when you see like an indie creator has something and you think it looks pretty neat, you don't know how much the people appreciate you just stopping by. Even if you don't buy, you stopping by will actually get other people like, hey, what's that guy looking at? And they'll come by just to look. And even if you don't buy anything, the people who stop by after you might. So even if you don't buy anything at a convention, you can support independent artists or people who are not big names by just stopping by, talking for a few minutes, and moving on with your day. It's hard to put yourself out there, and little conversations like that could make that person's day. And like I said, you stopping by can make another person be like, hey, what's that person interested in? And you can make that person a sale. Especially a lot of artists who are out there just trying to make ends meet. You don't know how much they would appreciate that. Just you stopping by, not even buying, just stopping by, talking, saying hello. It means a lot to people, and I don't think a lot of people even realize that. It's so important that when people's like, oh, I don't want to buy it because I don't know what it is, but even not buying, just the act of being there is a big difference. It's a big difference. So I just hope like more people start realizing it. It's not always putting down money towards something. Sometimes just the simple act of kindness of stopping by and spending a minute or two with a creator, if you think something is cool, it's more helpful and immeasurable than you can think. So it's one of the things I think a lot of people don't realize. You're giving your time. You're not giving your money. And it doesn't have to be an hour. It's the same reason like I'll tell people, yeah, sub to my YouTube. It's not, you don't even have to even look, believe it or not. As the sub numbers grow, the more people sub to it and the more it grows, the more people will be like, oh man, that guy has 200 whatever. Or okay, I like that. I like this content. I'll just sub too. So Pixel Bob, who that? No, you know what's so funny? When I'm actually looking at the stream, you see it pops down on my screen. That's why I don't have to look at the chat. I can actually see the questions pop up, which is kind of neat. I'm so goofy. Instead of like disconnecting and re-logging in with Stream Champ, like with Stream Champ, I basically spent a good month and a half without these pop-up indications coming down. And then one day I just like, yo, let me try to log out and log back in, and then boom, everything was working again. I'm like, I'm such a dummy. I should have tried this like a month ago. But yeah, it's really helpful for it when it works like that. You don't even have to look up, and you can see the messages that's popping down. It's the same thing when I'm playing Catalyst Black. It's the same way. But I think when War Mode comes out, man, I'm definitely gonna be doing probably a 6 or 7 hour long stream. Probably gonna have to be breaking it up with dog walks, but yeah, walking my dog and feeding her and stuff like that. But yeah, man, that's gonna be a marathon for sure, because I'm gonna be trying to play it to test, to see how it works, if it plays good, if it feels good, playing with people, And hopefully what can happen is people can be on the chat and the stream, giving feedback too at the same time, even if they're not playing. If they're watching, it'd be kind of cool to have. That's what I want to do when War Mode comes out. It's gonna be a big freaking long stream. And then I'm pretty sure the Proto Guild servers that we have out there, the Hive servers and the AEP servers. It's real funny. They should have just went APE. We all know it's about monkeys. Everybody has little monkeys after their names. We know it's about monkeys. But yeah, the AEP guys, it's funny. A lot of the AEP folks were from Hive anyway. It's a admin situation where the admins didn't want to fight with each other and they didn't agree with something. So two of the admins said, like, you know what, we'll start something different because we'd like to do it this way, and we don't want to butt heads. So that's literally why there's another group. And I think that's a mature way to do it. And I'm on both servers. I share content on both servers. I talk to folks on both servers. A lot of the Hive people are on both servers too. And we all jump back and forth talking on both. So to me, it's not that big of a deal. But there were people like, oh, they're trying to steal people. I only stayed in Hive because, like, they asked me to. I'm like, all right, if the admin says, like, hey, we really like you to stay because, like, you're a content creator and you share really good stuff and things like that. And I'm like, all right, you asked, so I'll stay. Because if they didn't ask and the other people say, hey, can you join us? We'd like you to do content creation stuff up there. I would have gone there also. The funny thing is I know everybody there. Like, I'm one of the older people on the server. I'm 45 this year in November 1st. So I'm actually 45 years old. So I'm like the old man in most of the group. So it's kind of funny. A lot of people are like, man, I thought I was the oldest. I'm 37. I'm like, nah, man, I got you. And I think there was another guy who was a little bit older than me, but he doesn't show up much anymore. Boosted Monkey, because this dude was talking about Vietnam and stuff. Thank you. It started off rough, but this year's getting it's getting a bit better. Nice. You're joining the club. Welcome. Haha. What I find out is every decade you get on you, man, it gets easier to not give a F about anything. Like, I know when I'm 50, it's going to be great. I'm going to give 0 Fs about most anything. Like, what you telling me, man? I've been alive for half a century. I don't need to hear your nonsense. But it's kind of funny too. With wisdom too, you learn a lot of stuff. You learn a lot of stuff. You also learn, like, it's funny. My daughter knows more about Discord than I do. Like, my server is trash. I literally have to probably sit down and get my daughter to go on my Discord server and make it work. I'm doing the technical stuff. Like, if I post on Facebook, it'll pop up. But my Discord server is like dead. Like, there's nobody on it. And the other thing too is, like, I'm going on the Hive server. I'm going on the AEP server. They got this bot that's taking levels. Like, they got this bot that does everything. It's tough. Like, Discord it's hard to learn for me. And I haven't done what I've done with almost every other platform that I've gotten to use, like Twitch. I'm getting there. I'm trying to become an affiliate so I can add my own emojis into it. But at the same time, I'll watch a video, I'll study up on it, I'll hear what somebody says. Like, one guy says, you don't need to stream every day on Twitch. And the way when you're streaming on Twitch too, you want to try to be getting your people when you're offline. So the trick is, a lot of my streams, what I'll do is I'll start cutting them up into pieces and then I'll repost them somewhere else. I'll repost them on my YouTube. And then from YouTube, I'll post stuff on Facebook for people to come back to it that way. But I personally do not Yeah, and it's been growing since I've been posting so much on Facebook. I mean, sorry, on YouTube, with the clips that come from Twitch. My my Facebook. I mean, I keep saying Facebook. I used to be on there so much. My YouTube is growing steadily. It's slow but steady. It's not like 100 subs a day, but getting 3 or 4 subs every day or two, it's really helpful. So that's kind of what I'm doing. It's slow and steady. I mean, in the last 6 or 7 months, I kind of picked up probably 40 subscribers. Well, no, last 4 months I picked up like 40 subscribers. Once I started doing a lot of Catalyst Black stuff, I've been picking up a lot more people. Thanks. Like my trick is I'm trying to reach 250. Like that's the number. Because once you reach 250, then the next goal is 500, then 1,000, and then as it starts to grow, it becomes easier and easier. It's strange. The more people you get, the more stuff start coming. Like I just looked at a YouTuber who was explaining like how this monetization works on YouTube, how much you get per 1,000 view, and it's funny if you have 20,000 followers, but if you can have a video that was viewed 100,000 times, that's better than having 1 million or 2 million followers, and you have a video that you can't get multiple views. Like you're getting your multiple views, but it was looked over as 3 million times, right? But it doesn't have any ad demographics. It's not something that makes you a lot of money. Like one kid had a video viewed 3 million times. He was making like 55 cents per impression. Where one person who had like 120,000 subs, he had a video that was making like $25 per impression. It's like, I want that. I want what he's got. So that's pretty cool. But still, even if you're doing 50 cents, because the way he was able to tabulate it is it's how much money it said those 3 million views generated. His 3 million views generated like $6,000 in revenue from YouTube, where that guy got like 25K from like 100,000 or something. Like it was a weird number that that just didn't really make that much sense. It was nuts. He had considerably less views, but he generated way more money. So that's kind of what you're looking for. And it has to do with topics that you're choosing to talk about. So that's kind of some of the stuff that I do. Like the video that I have that explains on how to use Stream Champ, that's one of the more widely viewed videos that I have. There's a video I have of indie property known as the Thrill League that is created by a buddy called Anthony Piper, Facebook friend, but I've been following him for a couple of years now. And this dude, he's got work. He's working with Marvel right now. He's actually writing for them. He's drawing some books for them too. So it's kind of neat. He's done covers because he's an artist, but he likes comedy. And he's always making these really funny, sometimes inappropriate jokes. And it's kind of cool. And also there's another guy I met on Facebook. Brandon Easton, he wrote there's a Transformers show on Netflix right now. He wrote that. He also wrote an episode of Agent Carter. It was really cool watching it. And he's like, oh yeah, the episode's coming out this month. And people following him on the different social media, like you could interact with the dude. So it was kind of cool. It was great to see his stuff blow up the way it did. And he's on movies talking about like situations of how it's difficult to be a person of color trying to break into some of these industries. It's not that easy because it's not that many there's not many people of color in higher positions in those in movies, TV shows, comics, just name it. There's some, it's just not a lot. So opportunities are a little bit tougher to get. But he's been doing really, really well, and I'm really happy for him. Anthony also, this guy went from sleeping and on sofas of friends and things like that, living out of his car, and now that he's writing comic books, working on TV shows. So it's like, I'm happy for people who get that success, because a lot of people like, it's an overnight success. No, if you've been following the person on Facebook, or you know in their streams, there are parts where they're like, yo, I'm selling all my stuff. Yeah, man. I'm hoping. I'm hoping to be there with you. Hoping to be there with you. Oh, I think I know. Oh, I'm hoping. Um, yeah, I also follow your stuff on Instagram. I love the work that you do. It's crazy. Your stuff on Instagram is so amazing. Um, but I've been following that stuff. But like, another one I'm also trying to get into is the animation myself. I'm trying to get into that. I just don't have the time to do it. Like, animation is so fun, but it's so time consuming. I did 17 seconds of animation. It took me over 35 hours. I've done 40 seconds of animation. It took me over 85 hours. But the funny thing is, while you're doing the animation, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, that's the only thing. That's why, one of the things I've been trying to, Colin Bird pointed it out to me. You know, um, it's definitely it's definitely like, using Blender might be a trick, that you can actually use to kind of speed up the process. Because Blender has this amazing thing, the grease pencil. You can create a 3D scene, and then with the 3D scene that you're using, you can then actually draw with the grease pencil in 3D space an actual figure running through it. So it would save you so much more time, instead of actually having to animate backgrounds and doing all that stuff. So it's really, really cool. That's one of the things I really want to get into. But again, I gotta finish this. I want to see if I can finish my book, also. And there's a game book I want to actually do. When I was a kid, there was a choose your own adventure type book called The Badlands of Hark by R.L. Stein, the guy who created Goosebumps. And he created two books in that series, Badlands of Hark and Invaders of Hark. And the layout of that was like one of my favorite choose your own adventure type book that I've ever seen. And I want to actually create something like that in a comic book format. And the idea that I have is, just to show you what I'm talking about. It's this. It's called The Magician, and it's from the Inktober stuff that I was doing. So the cover of the book, yeah, those are the funnest. But this is the cover of the book, and the character is this young girl who's in her 20s, and she's a witch. She starts off as a witch, but as the story progresses, she becomes the magician, and the magician is like the most powerful magic user in the world. And that magician also has a spiritual bond between the spirit world, or the supernatural world, and the human world. And the key is, they're like the sorcerer supreme / avatar of that world. They're the balance. And depending on which way they go, they can push the world to darkness or to light. So the whole idea is, that's where I came up with it. And the interesting thing is, you'll see there's a bunch of characters' faces there. The guy in the corner is her great uncle. He's like a lich. The werewolf, there's a guy with a mask of many faces. That mermaid is actually her mom. And she's a supernatural being. And the thing is, her father was not supposed to have any children, but he and the mermaid, he using magic, he made her human, and she gave birth to her. So she's the first magician who is part human and part supernatural. So she's like stupidly powerful. And then her godfather is this vampire that you see in the corner. And then in the corner is a were dragon who is, I don't know if it's love interest, but they're really close. So I'm not sure because I keep bouncing back between the werewolf